Welcome to today's Monday Doodle. It's Monday the 30th of January. Right now speaking, it's 6 minutes to 2 o'clock. So usually I do these Monday Doodles in the morning, but now it's afternoon already. I've been having some course during the day, so nonetheless welcome. As you might tell, my right eye is acting weird. It's because it's been a dramatic week last week. I have been diagnosed with an eye infection called, I think it's called iris inflammation. In Danish, it's kind of like rainbow hin infection. So it has been a roller coaster tour for emotionally, because I was like fearing, oh, I'm gonna lose the sight of one eye or all that. But everything's under control. I'm being treated with eye drops every hour. I have to drop these eye drops. So everything is good. Obviously, you get worried about this fragile body, and imagine not being able to draw with or see with one of the eyes. That would be tragic. So you can see maybe my one pupil. This is a normal one, and this is the other one. That looks kind of weird. Can you see it? Almost like an egg that's been. So that was that week. I haven't been drawing as much as I wanted to, but I have of course been brewing on ideas. And today I'll be starting on a project that I'm so excited about. I'll be drawing for a new children's book. I just met the author in Spain today to talk about the ideas. This is possibly an idea for the front cover. And I'll be drawing a car today, just to kind of get into things. But starting off, let me just catch up on something that we talked about last Monday Doodle, which is about the pine tree and snow. So I promised Annie Claxton to catch up on if I figure out the system of how you can draw trees with snow on them. And honestly, I have not been figuring out the system, but I have been doing some thinking, and I came to the conclusion that it's quite simple, yet also a bit complex. But last time we saw that we had this branch here, this very simplified branch, and this is a good starting point, I think, to show how you can draw snow on a branch. Let's take this branch here and look at it more from the side. So say we have a branch here. That's just the middle branch close up, and then branch coming out here and here. So add to that these small needles it has. And then I think it's a good way to think of snow falling onto the branch. So if it was just a thin layer of snow, it would kind of lay on top of it like that, all the way around, kind of like up here. But here, let's just imagine that a bit more amount of snow falls on top of this. So for instance, all the way up here. And then because snow it's an irregular shape, it's kind of this, how is it now? This kind of, yeah, beautiful pattern. But anyway, they're gonna lay on top or on each other, so it will be like a bit of irregular system. So there will be some bumps, maybe also a bit of wind here and there. And then it goes out on this branch here, around it. And then because of overlapping, this branch here, the middle fork, so to speak, will cover it like that. And then it won't cover all of the branches. Some of these will kind of stick out. And then again, overlapping, we have another branch here, out like this. And then again, this not completely perfect pattern. And of course, there will be other branches out here. This was just to simplify. So now we can draw in these. And then imagine that we had some branches below this branch here. They would then be not covered in snow. because of this part here. So this is why you see these darker parts in here. They are, so to speak, covered by the other branches taking all the snow, which is also why I guess that if these branches capture all the snow, then they will just keep amounting a lot of snow, which is why we have these big lumps up here. So that system I haven't figured out yet. I think you just have to go with your gut feeling and play around with it. And I guess that's also why these branches go down like this, which is because of the heaviness of the snow bringing them down, while the top ones don't have so much snow on them because they're kind of just one branch, while these ones have much more kind of branches on them. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. I'm still learning, and I don't think I will draw using my system. I'll also draw using some reference photos, definitely. But back to the children's book. I'll just show you one more sketch. The children's book that I'm starting to draw on here in February. Do some sketches for it in February and some more finished drawings in March. It's about this girl here. It's called Ellen, and she has some anger issues. So whenever she gets angry, she gets these. She can see this monster that kind of helps her. It's her temper monster. So every time she gets angry, her feelings of anger are being mirrored by this monster called Frank. It's a really strong story, and I think the plot in it and how do you call it? The plot and all the drama in it, the storytelling is really well made by her. So I'm looking forward to draw this. I'm giving it my best, and I hope to be able to cooperate with her in the future. That would be just the dream. So February, I have to work very, very hard to make things come true. I'm thinking here, I'm gonna draw a car. Reason being, Ellen and Frank and her father is going skiing in Sweden. This is also why I've been getting into drawing pine trees covered in snow to get into that. But anyway, they are driving in a car, and I have just found a specific photo of a car that I would like them to drive in. So we're just gonna go ahead and start and draw this car now for the next 10 minutes or so. Let me just get any comments up on my screen if you guys are commenting. Drawing with Pre is waving. Hello. Nice to see you here. Yes, let me just get that one over here. Okay, yeah. And the reason why I choose this car specifically is because I have this thing about cars from this area. I think they are unique in the design. They have something, certain feeling to them. I can't explain. Maybe it's because I was a child in the 90s, so they kind of talk to me. Today's cars seem so futuristic, and no, it's not really me. And I figured that this is a sort of a car that it's kind of like a car that's not too fancy and just fits perfectly as a family car that I imagine that the monster could be inside of, and you know, the dad and the Ellen. See, you have the back window here. This was going behind it. Last time I sketched with pencils so I could erase, but I also sometimes enjoy to go at it with ink, or in this case ballpoint pen just to, not worry too much about making mistakes and different medium. Shake things up. The front window already. This kind of goes this way, and then we have side mirror. Little handle here. How's the door around here? Like so. And a handle on this side as well. The great thing about that's going to be about drawing this guy Frank here is that he's a monster that can sort of change shape. He's a shapeshifter. So I can kind of make him an animal. I can make him to, for instance, tiger. That can also transform into a snake maybe, or maybe he has these tentacles I talked about together with the writer. So he's a very, very flexible character, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to draw him change shapes, and he can be very active, this monster. Have the wheel here, round. The rims go around. Thanks for the question, Pri. I think many things made me want to go into children's book, actually, when I think about it. And I've been pondering about it, but I think I could mention maybe three things. So one of them is definitely that I grew up with children's books. So me and my sister would be surrounded by many children's books. My grandmother used to read children's books to us. My mother read aloud from children's books. And I don't know why, but some of these stories just stuck with me. And especially the images, the stories themselves, and also the images. So I think that's definitely one of the reasons. And the second thing is that from a very young age, I started drawing when I was a kid. I drew, for instance, my sister would. My sister had a friend who very much into horses, so she would go there often, and they would go horseback riding and be around horses. And I think that she came home and told about her experiences, and then I would draw her experiences. So I would make these little scenes with drawings of her visiting her friend, and draw horses. And I also drew my toys. I was collecting these, as kids do, these toys, and then for some reason I was drawing them always. So I've always been very much into drawing my surroundings, you could say, and drawing what I experienced. This was a way for me to, I don't know, have fun, I guess, and deal with things. And then I recall, that was two things, and then I recall a moment in elementary school where we were drawing to the story of, I believe it was Moby Dick, and I was drawing this whale that was being killed, and I then I was using a red ballpoint pen, I think, to illustrate the blood of the whale. And I recall I had a very good teacher at that moment, a teacher in our our basic course, and she says to me, "Wow, that's really brilliant here that you use black and white and then just red to enhance the blood there on the whale." Like she commented on my drawing, and I just recall that was just such a strong memory for me, that she saw that talent in me in a way, and appreciated that. And I think that kind of in some way motivated me to draw, and was sort of a key point for me. And what else can I tell you? Then there's also the whole thing about, as an illustrator, you could illustrate a lot of things, but I think that children's books have always spoke to me because of their fabulating opportunities. Like, you could draw a lot of things that are really crazy and very wonky. And I've never been good at drawing something that's kind of realistic. Well, at least that's not what I want to do. I want to draw things that are kind of crazy and wonky. Maybe because I think society is so full of things you have to do, and certain norms you gotta live up to, and you gotta have a job, and you gotta do all these things. So for me, children's books is just that space where you can draw dragons, draw monsters, draw weird things, and play around with words and feelings. And I hope that answers your questions. But it took me a lot of time to realize what I wanted to do with my life. Like in elementary school, I remember many, I'm certain that you also do out there, many kids had these, I want to be a fireman, or I want to do this or that, but I never really had that sense of, well, I want to do that specifically, and I didn't know what I want to do for a long time in my year. It was not until I was, I guess, 28 or 29 that I knew, okay, children's books, that's... Did you ever study illustration formally? No, actually not. I went to a drawing school for about, when was that? In 2013, which was called a course in classical drawing, where you really get the fundamentals of drawing, very much observational drawing and drawing croquis like 10 hours a week. But I would say that was the most formal kind of thing that we of drawing classes. But I have considered taking some course. It's just that it costs money, and money is not exactly the thing right now I have. So right now I'm just trying to do what works and try to get experience from just the things I do, the things, for instance, drawing for this children's book. So I also tend to look a lot to other illustrators, see how they solve things, how they use color and different media, while keeping a sketchbook and drawing all as much as I can. Every day I want to try to draw, and just draw, draw a car like this, or draw apples or people. This is also something that develops your style, I think, especially when you draw with different media. And yeah. There's the license plate down here. Became way more tall, this car, than it is in reality, but we can always fix that later on. Perspective is also kind of weird, but this is also, speaking of training, I'm trying to work on ellipses, which is, the wheel. So thanks a lot, Pri. I think this could be a style actually for the book, to have this loose feel and these, silhouette lines that are kind of wonky. I could draw in the seats here. We have this steering wheel in here. And can I ask, Pri, what is your favorite things to draw? Do you have something that talks to you, that speaks to you? Animals, yeah. They are very challenging. Yes, I totally agree, they are. Plus, I'm contemplative of the loss of the natural environment because of climate change. Yeah. Yes, I feel you on that. And that's the thing I believe about drawing, that drawing is in a way a language. So when you are drawing, for instance, various animals, you also get a certain fondness of how each animal differ from the other. So you get the sense of biodiversity and the fondness of seeing how different animals are, and that each animal is different, has their different personalities. So I think you get an empathy for creatures of this world. So I totally feel you on that one. Drawing animals is really, really fun. Do you have a favorite animal that you always return to? Yeah, they're also great to draw, especially drawing cats while they are sleeping. what made you start a YouTube channel? I think actually it started out of like the emotion of panic, because at the time it was pandemic and I had this job as a teacher or communicator at a place where they work with children books, actually exhibitions and so on. But during the pandemic they closed down and I wasn't able to get any funds from the state because it's a non-profit organization. So so I was kind of like, okay, where do I have to get, where can I get money from? And then I just remember that I heard one guy talk that YouTube could generate funds when people watched your videos and all that commercial and all. So I thought that, wow, that sounded great. So I could kind of live on making these videos. So that was actually the beginning for my start. And I gotta admit, I didn't check up how much you earn as a YouTuber. And of course, I realized that it's not very much, at least not as much as I thought it was in the beginning. I thought it was like $1 per view in the beginning, which is definitely not the case. It's way more or less. But then after a while, I also realizing that I couldn't live off as a YouTuber. I just thought it was such a nice way to communicate with people like you, people who care about drawing and share things, and also a way for me to kind of do this that I'm doing right now, sit down and actually do some things. Sometimes when you don't kind of feel up to it, you can when I put on the camera, I kind of have to do it. Some things that I kind of maybe push away in the future. And it's also just learned me a lot of things, how to communicate and how to do a tutorial, for instance, on how to do a certain technique, which I use today on a drawing school. But the honest reply is it was out of panic when I started the YouTube channel. I think the last thing that I will do here is to create a bit of shading. Just maybe also have this sidewalk coming up here. So shading, could it be fun with a bit of watercolor? I think so. I have this purple water soluble color pencil that I could try out. Usually I tend to use blue for shading. I totally forgot to say cheers out there. I'm having coffee. Cheers. Sorry, I usually say I use blue, but why not try out with a bit of purple? So I'm just adding a bit of shade on the side of it, and should also add something beneath it. Here we can go a bit darker. So this way we can tell if purple could be an idea for the children's book as a shading tone. I'm thinking, why not? There, and then the interior of the car could also have a bit of shade. Pandemic made me think about what my dreams were and what I wanted to do. I wanted to share art and drawings. That's my 20s job at the start. Okay, so that's the very same story. Yeah. Yes. I've checked out your channel. You also have some gorgeous drawing tutorials in there. I will remember to go back to your channel and check out your content. And I think that also the pandemic made many people go online and seek communities, maybe because the only way for us was to go online. So it could be that it was a boost in terms of creativity and getting back to drawing and all the sorts, crafting world in general. Yeah, and it really surprised me how long it takes to create a video. Like, I thought it was just putting up a camera and then rolling, but you gotta think about the angle of it and think about what to say, and then you gotta edit it and create a thumbnail and all that. It's so demanding, isn't it? Yeah. Me too. It is fun. And the great thing is that, well, that it kind of depends on how successful the video is, how in terms of algorithms and all that. But the great thing is that once the video is out there, it's just still out there and can make a bit of income for you. I was very surprised about which of my videos were most popular. Sometimes I create a video which took so much preparation, and then was just like, I don't know, 80 views, while other videos which I think is not my best today has been some of the most popular. So it's really difficult to foresee, I think, what people like. And yeah, I don't know about algorithms and all that, because yeah, I guess it plays a huge part. But as long as we create content that we think is fun and makes sense, I think that, as you say, it's totally worth it. So there we go. Maybe also a bit of shading on the lenses here of the car. And then this part down here is actually quite dark. When I do the finished versions of these drawings here, I think I'm gonna be using watercolors. So that is or at least one interpretation of the Toyota Carina. Now I think I will spend the day with trying to get inside of the car, because there's a scene where we see the daughter and Ellen here and her dad and the monster inside of the car. So I gotta figure out how it looks inside of the car. Thanks a bunch for tuning in, and thank you for the conversation, Pri. I'm gonna go into your channel now and see what's in there. Enjoy your Monday, folks. And sketchbook tour, a very long sketchbook tour. I think it's almost 2 hours long of all my sketchbooks, will be online on Wednesday. See you people. Bye.